For 33 straight days in 2015, a sound louder than a jet engine echoed from the deepest point on Earth. A place we were told was silent. Think about that for a moment. 33 continuous days. You're looking at the Mariana Trench. 11,000 meters straight down. The pressure here is over 1,000 times that of the surface, a force that would compact a military submarine into a featureless metal sphere. In 2014, researchers from NOAA lowered a titanium-encased hydrophone into this crushing abyss. The official mission objective was to record a baseline of ambient noise, to finally capture the sound of pure, absolute silence. They did not find silence. Instead, they recorded a signal. A bizarre 5-part call that swept from a deep moan up to a metallic shriek. The official report, published in the Journal of the Acoustical Society of America, called it the Western Pacific Biotwang. Their conclusion? It was a previously unknown vocalization from a baleen whale, a new animal to add to the books. Case closed. But here's the part that never made it into the headlines. The sound signature doesn't truly match any known whale species. Not a minke, not a fin whale. Nothing in the biological record produces a sound with this exact metallic quality. And it gets stranger. Whale songs are broadcasts. They are meant to travel across entire oceans for hundreds, even thousands of kilometers. This signal, despite being immensely powerful, was only ever detected by that single hydrophone at Challenger Deep. No other acoustic sensor in the entire Pacific Ocean picked it up. Not one. Think about what that implies. For a sound that loud to be heard in only one place, its source must be impossibly close to the recorder. And it must be focused, directed, like a beam of sound fired through the darkness. The official story holds. It's a new, mysterious whale, an animal we have never seen. But buried deep in the raw acoustic data is a detail that was never included in the public report. The signal isn't random like an animal call. It repeats with chilling regularity. When analysts mapped the precise intervals between the signal's pulses, they didn't find a biological rhythm. They found a sequence, a clear, unmistakable pattern of prime numbers. It is not a geological process. It is a deliberate, manufactured pattern, and there is only one reason to transmit it into the void: to signal intelligence. You see, this idea isn't new. In 1959, two physicists at Cornell University, Philip Morrison and Giuseppe Cocconi, published a paper in the journal Nature. They asked a simple question. If an intelligent civilization wanted to contact another across the galaxy, what language would they use? Their answer was mathematics, specifically prime numbers. A series of pulses based on primes is universally recognizable as artificial. It's the ultimate cosmic greeting card. And in 2015, we received one from the bottom of our own planet. The official explanation, the Western Pacific Biotwang, still holds that this is a minke whale. But the data tells a different story. And here's where the official narrative begins to fray. First, there is the sound's quality. It was described as metallic. No biological tissue, no vocal cord or syrinx is known to produce a sound with that specific resonant industrial character. Think about it. It's like hearing a trumpet fanfare in the middle of a forest and concluding it must be a new species of bird. Then there is the frequency. The signal sweeps from a deep 38 Hz moan to a piercing 8,000 Hz shriek in just 2.5 seconds. Baleen whales, like the minke, are low-frequency specialists. They rumble, they don't shriek. That range is simply outside their known vocal abilities. The official report from NOAA acknowledges this strangeness. They call it complex and highly structured. But they never address the central, damning piece of evidence, the repetition. Whales are creative. Their songs have themes, variations, improvisations. They are artists. This signal was not art. It was mathematics. The same 5-part sequence with the same prime-numbered intervals, again and again, for 33 days. This wasn't the first time we heard it. The public learned of the signal in 2016, but newly declassified naval records show something else entirely. During the Cold War, the U.S. Navy operated a global network of underwater microphones called SOSUS, the Sound Surveillance System. Its purpose was to track the movement of Soviet nuclear submarines. But throughout the 1970s and 80s, operators tasked with listening for enemy subs kept logging a ghost, a faint metallic upsweep from the vicinity of the Mariana Trench. Yet they codenamed the anomaly the Tin Man. These reports were classified for over 40 years. Why? What did they think it was? The official records are silent on that point. They simply log the sound and move on. This is the part nobody talks about. The silence in the official files is more unsettling than the sound itself. And it brings us back to the deepest puzzle of all. The sound that registered on the NOAA hydrophone was incredibly loud. Over 200 decibels at the source. That is powerful enough to be heard across an entire ocean basin. Yet it was only detected by a single listening station. No other hydrophone in the Pacific, not from SOSUS, not from any university or research body, picked up a trace of it. Think about what that means. For a sound that allowed to be heard in only one spot, it cannot be a simple broadcast. He's spreading out in all directions like ripples in a pond. It must be a beam, a focused column of acoustic energy fired with incredible precision through 11,000 meters of water. The physics required to do that are immense. The technology is far beyond anything we can currently build. For decades, we have pointed our instruments to the stars, listening for a message from somewhere else. We have been searching for a sign of intelligence outside our world. But this entire investigation has been guided by one single, fundamental assumption, that the source is swimming in the water. What if it's not? What if the signal is coming from beneath the seafloor itself? To transmit a signal from beneath the seafloor of the Mariana Trench, you would need to overcome physics itself. Think about what that means. You're looking at a subduction zone. Here, the Pacific Plate, a slab of crust 100 kilometers thick, is being forced under the Philippine Plate. The pressures are unimaginable. The temperatures melt rock into magma. This is not a place for delicate machinery. It is a geological furnace. And yet, the data points there. In 2012, 3 years before the biotwang was recorded, a Scripps Institution of Oceanography expedition deployed a series of seismometers across the trench floor. Their goal was to map the structure of the Earth's crust. They found something else. Buried in the seismic data was a pocket, a void, but an area roughly 2 kilometers wide that did not return seismic waves the way it should have. The official paper published in Nature Geoscience called it a serpentinite mud volcano, a known, if rare, geological feature. The case was closed. But nobody asked why this specific feature sat directly beneath the coordinates where, 3 years later, the loudest, most mysterious sound in the ocean would appear. This is the part nobody talks about. The coordinates match precisely. And here is where the story you've been told completely falls apart. For 70 years, we have filled the oceans with our own noise, a constant grinding roar that has drowned out the natural world. You're hearing the sound of a supertanker's propeller audible from 1,500 kilometers away. Now, the percussive blast of a seismic air gun used for oil exploration, a sound that can kill marine life outright. And this is the sound of military-grade active sonar. To a whale, it is the equivalent of a fighter jet taking off inside your home. We have made the abyss our own industrial backyard, and our most secretive work happens here. Think back to the SOSUS network, the secret chain of microphones that first detected the Tin Man. Its official purpose was tracking Soviet submarines. Its unofficial purpose was total acoustic dominance of the world's oceans. The files on the Tin Man were classified for over 40 years. Why? You don't classify the song of a new whale? You publish it, you name it, you win awards, you classify a threat, or you classify one of your own. You see, since the 1960s, the U.S. Navy has operated a program known as SIRTAS, the Surveillance Towed Array Sensor System. On these are immense kilometer-long cables packed with hydrophones towed by stealth ships. They are the modern evolution of SOSUS. They listen, and in the 1990s, they began to do more than listen. They began to transmit. This is the official designation, low-frequency active sonar, a system so powerful it can detect a quiet submarine from across an entire ocean basin. It works by blasting the water with low-frequency sound waves, over 215 decibels at the source, louder than the biotwang. And what does this sonar sound like to a hydrophone? It is often described as a metallic, upsweeping shriek. Wait, read that sentence again. A metallic, upsweeping shriek. The exact description of the Mariana Trench signal. The official report from NOAA in 2016 never once mentions the possibility of a military source. Not a single line. A curious omission, wouldn't you say? Especially when the sound's characteristics, its power, its metallic tone, its frequency sweep, align so perfectly with technology we know exists. Technology that is actively deployed in the Pacific Ocean. The only piece that doesn't fit is the location, the crushing, impossible depth. And the prime numbers. A military sonar system doesn't need to broadcast prime numbers. It uses encrypted pings, so the story still doesn't make sense, unless the signal wasn't a sonar ping, and the source wasn't a ship on the surface. We have been searching for a message from another intelligence. We assumed it was for us. But what if it was a message from one machine to another? A system check. An automated handshake happening in the one place on Earth no one was supposed to be listening. For decades, we have looked to the stars for a sign of intelligent life. We spent billions of telescopes to scan distant galaxies. All the while, the most profound mystery may have been echoing from the last unexplored corner of our own world. The great irony is that we heard a signal built on the universal language of intelligence, and we were so busy looking for aliens, we failed to recognize the dialect. It was human. The problem only gets deeper, because it means someone, somewhere, built a piece of technology we cannot explain, and placed it in the most inaccessible location on our planet. It moves the mystery out of biology and into the shadows of human ingenuity. Now, let's make this personal. Meet Dr. Sharon Newkirk, a senior faculty research assistant at Oregon State University. In 2015, the raw acoustic data from the Mariana Trench hydrophone landed on her desk. Her job was to make sense of it. Think about that moment. You're in a quiet lab, surrounded by the gentle hum of servers. You put on a pair of headphones, press play, and you hear a sound that has no business existing. A moan that becomes a scream of metal. It must have been electrifying and deeply confusing. Why, the first analysis sessions were likely followed by a long silence. A few exchanged glances. A simple question hanging in the air. What on earth are we listening to? The official report gives it a name, the Western Pacific Biotwang. It's a folksy, almost dismissive title for the strangest sound ever recorded in the deep ocean. But why that name? Why make it sound so harmless? For months, Newkirk and her team worked to solve the puzzle. They compared the signal spectrograph to a vast library of known underwater sounds. The closest match was a minke whale. Very close, in fact, but it wasn't perfect. The data stubbornly refused to fit. That metallic, resonant quality had no biological equivalent. And the frequency sweep from 38 to 8,000 hertz was far beyond a minke's known range. Imagine the dilemma. And you have data that points towards something manufactured, something artificial. But your entire career, your credibility, is built on publishing verifiable, peer-reviewed science. A new species of whale is an extraordinary claim that requires extraordinary evidence. A secret deep-sea transmitter broadcasting prime numbers is not science. It's conspiracy. So they made a pragmatic choice. They published the closest possible fit, a novel baleen whale vocalization. It was the only conclusion the scientific method could allow them to make. And yet, the original data remains. The prime number sequence is still embedded in the files. The industrial shriek still echoes on the master recording. The official paper never mentions these anomalies. Not once. This is the part nobody talks about. The human cost of a discovery that breaks the rules. This isn't just about numbers on a chart. It's about the profound, unsettling feeling of encountering something that fundamentally does not fit. You can feel that same weight reaching back through time. Think of the young U.S. Navy technicians in the 1970s, sitting in dark, windowless rooms for 12-hour shifts, listening to the secret SOSUS hydrophones. Their mission was to find Soviet submarines. Instead, through the endless hiss of the ocean, they found the Tin Man. This strange metallic ghost in the machine. They couldn't explain it. Their superiors couldn't explain it. So they just logged it, filed it under unidentified, and waited for their shift to end. Day after day. For years. What was that like? To hold a piece of an impossible puzzle in your head? You couldn't speak of it to anyone. The sound, the location. Your very job was classified. It was a secret that had to live inside you. For over 40 years, those operators carried that sound in their memory, a faint metallic whisper from the bottom of the world. And that brings us to the most personal question of all. What is heavier? The crushing pressure of 11,000 meters of water, or the weight of a secret you can never share? The weight of a secret is measured by what it protects. The Navy operators protected national security. The scientists protected the integrity of their method. But there's a third possibility. What if the signal isn't a secret being kept from us, but a sound the planet is making for itself? Think about what that means. We have spent this entire journey searching for a source, a whale, a submarine, a hidden transmitter. We have been looking for an agent, an intelligence. We assumed the sound was a message sent from a sender to a receiver. But what if there is no sender? We lowered a microphone into the abyss, hoping to hear nothing. Instead, we accidentally placed a stethoscope against the planet's deepest heart. And we heard a murmur. Remember, the Mariana Trench is not a silent, static place. It is a subduction zone. Here are the Pacific Plate, a slab of rock 100 kilometers thick, grinds and shudders as it is forced into the Earth's mantle. The pressures are beyond comprehension. In 2011, geophysicists at the University of Houston discovered that certain rocks, when subjected to this kind of tectonic stress, can generate powerful electromagnetic fields and acoustic energy, a phenomenon known as piezomagnetism. The sound is described as a sharp, resonant crackle, a metallic shriek. This is the part that was never mentioned in the official NOAA report. An entire field of geophysics that could potentially explain the signal's bizarre industrial quality was never considered. This changes everything. The signal may not be biological or military. It could be the cry of rock being torn apart 11 kilometers beneath the waves, the sound of the world being made. And now, think about our own role in this. For 70 years, we have filled the oceans with a deafening roar. The percussive blasts of seismic air guns, the sonar pings that boil the water. We've been acting like noisy tenants, assuming the itself was inanimate. What if we were wrong? What if the planet has its own acoustic systems, its own rhythms? And we are now so loud, we are beginning to interfere with them, to cause a fever? But that brings us back to the final stubborn piece of the puzzle, the one detail that defies every natural explanation: the prime numbers. A geologic process does not produce a sequence of prime numbers. A tectonic plate does not broadcast mathematics. This is the ghost that haunts every theory. The official explanation ignores it. The military theory cannot account for it. And the geological theory shatters against it. It is the one piece of data that points undeniably towards intelligence. And so, we are left here, in the deep, with a signal we cannot explain from a place we can barely reach. For decades, we have pointed our telescopes at the stars, shouting into the cosmos, asking if we are alone. All the while, the most profound mystery may have been echoing from the last unexplored corner of our own world. Perhaps the question was